Welcome to Whispers Beyond the Veil. I'm Brooke Ashley. Tonight's story is called The Valley That Hums. Remember, the veil is thinner than you think. I wasn't supposed to be out there past sunset. The locals made that clear. They didn't say why, just that the land out east of the mesa was different after dark. Different how? Nobody finished the sentence. I was chasing stories again, half folklore, half science, cattle mutilations, lights that blinked under the soil instead of over it, something the locals called the hum. I had my recorder, my camera, and that stupid thrill you get when you think you're going to prove something that was never meant to be measured. The road curved between cliffs, the color of rusted pennies. The air there had a weight to it, like a sound you couldn't quite hear, but your bones could. When I stepped out of the truck, my ears rang, though there was no noise at all. I set my tripod facing the valley. It looked empty. Sagebrush, sandstone, a few distant fence posts, marking nothing at all. But as soon as the sun slid behind the ridge, the ground began to vibrate. Not shake, vibrate. A constant tone too low for hearing, but deep enough that it made my heartbeat stutter to keep up. I clicked my recorder on. The mic picked up nothing. Not the wind, not the hum, just dead air. That's when I realized it wasn't sound, it was pressure. When you're near something you don't understand, your body starts confessing before your mind does. My hands were sweating. My throat wanted to say my full name out loud, like it forgot who I was. That's when I saw the first light. About 50 yards ahead, a pale blue shimmer rose straight from the dirt. No flare, no reflection, just a column of light that moved like it was breathing. I pointed the camera, zoomed, and realized the light wasn't going up or down. It was folding, like something was turning the air inside out and back again. Rhythmically, calmly, like it had done this for centuries. And then the hum changed pitch. It climbed a single note higher. My stomach rolled like I'd hit a drop in an airplane. I backed up a step. My heel hit metal. I looked down. There was an old fence post, half buried. It wasn't wood or steel. It was smooth, too smooth, like bone left in water too long. I bent to touch it. It was warm. When I straightened, there were 3 blue columns now, each pulsing at a slightly different rhythm, like a chord being tuned by something with no hands. You ever watch an animal move in a way that your brain doesn't allow? Like a spider turning without bending. There was something near that second column. A figure. Not walking. Arranging itself forward. At first I thought it was a person. My brain begged for it to be a person. But it kept changing proportion. One step, tall and narrow. Next, low, jointed, wide. Like someone dragging themselves through different versions of a body to see which one fit. It stopped maybe 20 feet from the first column. It looked at me. The hum went silent for exactly 3 seconds. In that silence, my thoughts were not mine. I heard a phrase, not in my ears, but behind them. Do you know what shape you are in? And then it smiled. At least it rearranged its face into the idea of a smile. I should have run, right? Instead, I reached for the oak box in my bag, the same one from Elk Pass, the one I swore I'd never bring anywhere again. Because it knocks when the dead are near, and sometimes the living too. I set it on the hood of the truck. The moment I did, it knocked. The lights nearest me folded in half like someone pinched the word and creased it. The light nearest me folded in half like someone pinched the world and creased it. The hum came back louder. Not outside now, inside. It was behind my eyes, rattling my teeth, my camera screen filled with static, black and white bands bending like they were underwater. Through the static, I saw figures, not one, not three, but a row of them, all flickering in and out as if the air couldn't decide which belonged here. One of the figures looked like me. Same height, same posture, holding a camera at the same angle. Only it was a second late, like a bad mirror lag. When I blinked, it didn't. The hum dropped an octave. Something crawled up the side of the truck. Hand or hoof, I couldn't tell, and pressed against the window. It left a print, not a handprint, a spiral. 5 ridges curving inward until they met at a small, perfect eye. That was the first time I said it out loud. Stop. My voice came back wrong, lower, slower, like the hum had borrowed it and was trying to return it gently. I slammed my palm on the oak box and shouted, "Stop." The light columns collapsed. The air went flat. No hum, no sound at all. Even the wind forgot how to move. When I could finally breathe, I realized I was kneeling. The box sat in the dirt, lid slightly ajar. Inside wasn't empty anymore. It held a single photograph, not old, fresh, glossy. It showed the truck parked exactly where it was now. Same angle, same dirt, same scratch on the door, except there was no me in the driver's seat. Just the figure. Tall, thin, folding. I burned the photo that night in the camp stove. It didn't curl or blacken. It turned to light. A thin line of it that lifted, folded, and vanished. I drove back before dawn. At the edge of the valley, the hum followed me, fainter, fainter, until it was only in the bones of the truck frame. When I crossed the county line, it stopped. The radio flickered on by itself and played a gospel station that shouldn't have reached that far. The singer's voice was warped, stretched a little too long between syllables, but the words landed clean. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I laughed until I cried. A week later, a man from town stopped by the diner where I was editing footage. He didn't introduce himself. He just pointed to the road leading east and said, "Don't go back there. It listens. It remembers who brings something that already knocks." He left before I could ask his name. That night, in my motel room, I heard the hum again. So quiet, I almost thought it was plumbing. But it was perfectly steady. Every 40 seconds, it dipped one note lower, like the valley breathing through the walls. I looked at the window and saw nothing outside. When I looked back at the table, the oak box was there. I hadn't brought it inside. The lid was closed, but the corner of a new photograph peeked out. I didn't touch it. It's still there, somewhere between sounds. Sometimes when I'm editing audio late at night, I'll see a thin band of static on the waveform, something that shouldn't be there. When I isolate it, amplify it, clean it, it's me saying, "Do you know what shape you were in?" Remember, the veil is thinner than you think.